All right, Antonio, let's take a look at your essay. So, starting off, you start with a numbers, which could be a statistic. Well, it is a statistic. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. But overall, this is a pretty good way to start your paper. And it's really interesting because you're taking this on a way that I have not seen um, be taken yet, which is good. Um, which is good to see. Because we talk about media, but you're specifically taking it in the realm of smartphones and social media. And this is true. Like, there are some really good articles out there, and I can potentially think about where you got this from and where it comes from. And it may be a particular article I've read before. But, anyways, with that being said, there is true, right? So, in 2009, about 170 million smartphones were sold, but now we are at so many more being sold. So this is really interesting how you're taking this aspect of consumerism into your essay, which is good. And then kind of leaving this vague. It could be human nature, it could be social media, which is okay because it's not quite at your thesis yet, but it could be a little bit worrisome as you get further down the road. And then as you go here, even though you start this example, you talk about these differences, which I think is okay to have an example like this, aside from the contraction you have right here. This is okay to set up the example like this because what you're doing is you're saying, well, social media didn't exist back then, so this is how it all kind of ties in by starting with an example and addressing that gray area right away. And then you say social media is more potent as evident in more people buying electronics. As evident, I would just say as evident in people buying more electronics instead of more people. You just have the redundancy here. I would get rid of, excuse me, one of them. And the free power to make documents, articles, and shows about one particular event. I think it's a pretty good thesis. You're talking about social media being potent. The only thing you have to think about now is you need to make sure that this is about social media because you left that as your thesis versus media in general. Okay, so as we move on to your next body paragraph, your topic sentence, social media is really potent to spreading mass hysteria, as many people carry phone on them, have a computer or TV at home. You may need to add some kind of conjunction in here, probably and would be the best way. But as many people carry a phone on them, or you could use you can use or you can use or have a computer or TV at home. So you talk about how people can see these very quickly. An example being Charlie Chan. So you talk a little bit of analytical stuff. We see this quickly, and then the example. You don't want to use these slashes in formal academic writing. You want to just straight out say by writing yes or no. In 4 boxes, you want to spell out numbers 10 or less on a piece of paper. So you're explaining Charlie, which is good. So you're setting up the example, and then you set up the 2006 soap opera, and then sum them up as caused by the easy ability to get access to this, which causes people to do things others do or feel. So you have some analysis here. You have some analysis here through your topic sentences. So what I could say is maybe add in a sentence after the Charlie that transitions into the next example. Because even as you say right here, they thought if one person on the internet was doing it, they should too. Oh, you have the wrong two here. So you've had some homophone things and whatever else I've said that's some concerns here. So far it has been routine. The routine things I'm seeing are the contractions and the conjunctions, but on that, you could just say a quick thing about media was able to propel this further. Another example of this causing mass hysteria, and you see, it's just a quick thing to break up your evidence and analysis to make sure you have it here and there. And then this is an interesting perspective where you're talking about people having the ability to create these stories, which is an interesting take on it. Which a lot of people are writing essays about fake news and misleading information, but you are talking a little bit about the freedom for people to use social media in such a particular way. And this is true. Once the article goes out, it can be viewed as anyone, and then you talk about Clinton and Benghazi. And then back to the conjunctions, you can't start a sentence with but. The biggest thing I can say with y'all's essays is if you are using the word but and it's starting a sentence, you can just swap out the word with however, and that will make it it'll just make it more academic. So make sure you're doing that. And then clarify what's going on here, even though the attacks were in a foreign country. Could just say, even though it was a foreign country, just be aware of that. Could have done something. They cut off funding. So let's look at where your analysis is with this. Here's your analysis. Media portraits are this way, which is okay. And then you go into another example. They see a UFO. It spreads. And then you have contraction here. We're not. Here's where it's a little concerning. You need to specifically say, and I can't recall if it's in the article or not. I'm not going to go pick it up. But the reason I'm also not doing it is because you need to make it clear enough to your readers if they haven't read this article. It will be clear. The people who saw the alien said they were stalking people at night and scratched numerous people's faces. They shortly went over to the police station and started rioting because they weren't being protected enough. People can make articles online all over the world. They can do whatever they want with them and create mass hysteria. This is fine to end your paragraph, but you do need to make it a little bit more specific and tie it back into how the article ties into here, because that's how you start in this paragraph is your topic sentence. So then take that example that I just mentioned with the UFO and tie it back into there, because you're not making it specific or explicit enough with your reader. Okay? And then when we get on to human nature, being potent, so this is a good topic sentence, could be more potent from another view. And you're explaining this and reel it back into Abigail. However, this is what you're missing. So this is before they have the ability to go on social media, whatever it is. But with that being said, you don't take the time to refute this. So in your opposition paragraph, you need to, you need the evidence and analysis of the opposing side, but you also need to take the time to look at your own position on it and then bring back in that evidence and that, the analysis that supports your claim. So that's the key thing. Even in your opposition, you're still making it all about you and your claim. So finally, in your conclusion, you restate your thesis, which is good. You recap some instances. People can control this. You have that conjunction issue here again. But you can leave off your essay with a more intriguing way. Instead of just saying, oh, it's more potent, you could give the reader a lasting impression with what is going on. So even something with, I don't know, I would have to think about it, because let's take a look at what you have. Often we think something is very credible. Dude, you want to keep a third person. Anyways, that's the first time I saw it. I think that's the first time I saw it. Anyways, after we think something is very credible since it's being spread by everyone, you have that contraction, comma, but it does not show what is actually being told, therefore leaving people to assume that it must be real. Many of the incidents that go out now is by social media. Maybe get rid of this and just say social media, something along the lines of social media is the crux of mass hysteria. I don't know. Something like that. Social media is the crux of mass hysteria, and even though certain events occurred without it, there is now the day and age where mass hysteria where media overwhelms mass hysteria. I'm grading this after school in my classroom, and through the little box of my door, I just saw someone who I do not know So I got a little spooked and lost my train of thought. But anyways, Antonio, as I'm looking at your essay, I think you have good examples with some analysis. I think can be split up a few different ways. Focus on your opposition paragraph and focus on your ending a little bit more and some of those grammar concerns that I talked to you about. And if you want to do a rewrite, you can.